No intro today. So, of course, I'm in the truck, so there's going to be background. But there's something I got to talk about, and it kind of irks my nerves a little bit, just because I would like to see good outcomes from things, and I see a bunch of contradictions. Uh, Not only in the world, of course, shout out to the media, but no, I see a bunch of contradictions here on YouTube, and especially when it comes to the whole dating and all that other crap, marriage and all that other crap. And I just gotta say this: be mindful of the information that you get from YouTube. And I'm gonna give a little bit of, some. This is my personal advice because I know better than to just take advice from someone that I don't know and I can't or cannot verify themselves. Meaning, there are people that will act a certain way on YouTube, but they aren't what they technically are. Meaning, anybody could be a freaking guru making a few YouTube videos, but they aren't actually what they are. That's why the whole guru thing, popped off. Shout out to the scammers and all you. Hopefully, y'all didn't do the PPP scam, because now the law is coming after you for that. But the gurus that sell courses and stuff like that, right? They were popping off during the pandemic because people were realizing their lives sucked, and they were looking at the false lives of people who looked like they were doing better. So naturally, you know, they pay money to try to see if they can do what they did. But the problem is, what you find out is these guru people, and they usually have tendencies. These guru people, they typically can't, how can I say it, replicate the same outcome. Meaning their success, they can't technically replicate it for you because their success technically comes from you thinking that they're successful. But I'm not talking about the gurus when it comes to like business and that kind of thing. I'm talking about the gurus that are talking about the people that are preying on. I'm gonna call it what it is. That are preying on the people that are talking about their relationships and stuff. I would not take any genuine relationship advice from anyone. Correction. There are maybe a handful, one or two. Shout out to Jason Black. But I will not take a relationship advice from most people on YouTube. I will say that. I will definitely say that. Especially women. Yeah, sorry, I gotta say that, ladies. I'm sorry, I gotta say that. But some of y'all don't know what the hell y'all talking about because I get it. I get the game. I get the game. Y'all got it. Listen, I get it. You have to understand the dating market isn't really a market. It's an auction house. It is not a market. You are not going and buying something and it has a price tag on it. No, that is not what the dating market is. Because if it was, you would know everything about your partner up front. Right? You go to the store. You go to the store. The product, the products have a description and everything you need about the product. You know everything you need to know. Well, you know most what you need to know about the product, how it's going to perform, or at least how they tell you it's going to perform. But the thing is, usually it's a reasonable price. Usually you won't have to kill yourself to buy a bag of potatoes or some tissue. You won't have to pay an excessive amount. Like most people will know if I say, hey, I paid $50 for this thing of 50 rolls of tissue paper. Most people will know that's stupid. Most people will know, yeah, that you paid a lot for that tissue paper, right? That's not how the dating market works. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not. It's not a market like that. Actually, it's much like shout out to Mr. Jason Black. This is why I say I only like a lot of stuff that I look into. It's mainly like It is what it is. Like I like well as close as absolute truth as possible, right? And the dating market is more like a blind auction. That it really is. It really is. It is not a real market where you go and you pay the price. It's not even the market like they do over there in Africa where you haggle for the price because even then you kind of know it's somewhat reasonable. No, the dating market is a blind auction. That is what it is. That being said, what you have to understand is during a blind auction, you pretty much, it's favorable that you put your highest bid in first because you only get one shot. You put in what you're willing to pay for something, but get this, you could be getting a deal. You could actually get that item at the price that's reasonable, or depending on how many other people want it, or there could be a sucker who's absolutely willing to pay $50 for a roll of tissue. There is a sucker out there somewhere that will pay $50 for a roll of tissue. I wish there were more, because I got tissue to sell. So this is why, like, when people, they try to speak in absolute, but they don't really know what the hell they're talking about because they just assume that's how things work. No, there are winners and there are losers. There are suckers and there are players. You know, people with game know what the deal is. Therefore, they know how to place good bids. They look at the competition. They look at the people that are bidding. I'm pretty sure he can't go over $5, so let me put my bid in at $6. Let me not throw some astronomical number like 50 to get this freaking roll of tissue, because it ain't worth that. That's dumb. However, that dumb that did throw out that $50 bid for that roll of tissue, that simple roll of tissue that wasn't really special, that simple roll of tissue that may or may not have been unwrapped previously, guess what? He's the sucker. Do I care about that sucker for overbidding on an item? No. He gets what he pays for. I mean, he might feel some type of way when he realizes that, but who cares? He's a sucker. And I'm sorry. A lot of guys today, unfortunately, not all, shout out to the all police, unfortunately, a lot of guys today, unfortunately, especially the ones that have these horror stories at the divorce court and all that other stuff, the ones who got married without a prenup, those guys, unfortunately, those guys were the suckers. All these guys with the horror stories, you know, correction, most of the guys, I mean, it probably is safe to say all, because usually the smart guys know better than to put themselves in that situation. But most of the guys, I'm just gonna be reasonable here. Most of the guys that put themselves in those situations, most of the time, they were the sucker. They overpaid for a bid, things didn't go as planned, and then they realized they bought a bad item. They overpaid for the item, or whatever, right? Whatever happens, happens. I mean, things happen. I get it. It is what it is. It is what it is. Actually, let me do this real quick. I'll be right back, people. All right. So yes, let's make that very clear. So double down. I'll say it again. The dating market is more like an auction house. More like an auction house, people. It is a blind auction. At least that's how women would like it to be. That's why they remember what I said in the lie to me. That's why women are more willing to lie about things, or and this is just as bad as lying. They'll keep certain things from you intentionally because they know if you knew, like say when you go, a good example is when you go, if you ever been to an auction for a car or vehicle, especially like one of those auctions where it's like, they roll the vehicle across the stage, like you see them on TV. You might not know that that car has some rust here and there. They fixed it up real pretty on the outside. It looks nice. It's a blind auction. So some of them are blind auctions, but some of them, they just kind of bid it up while it's going across the stage, right? So let's just assume it's one of the ones that's a blind auction, where it's like, hey, bids in right now. What would you pay for this car? No test drive. You see what you see. You might be able to walk around it, look inside the engine bay and whatnot. You bid for the car. Let's say fair market value for the car is 15,000, right? There's a sucker that'll pay 30 for it. There's another sucker that's willing to pay 35. You, however, you're like, hey, I'm reasonable, but this car's okay. I'm gonna do 15.5, right? Well, the sucker gets it. He gets it for 35, right? Cool. He got his car. And then he comes back to you and you find out, well, the car is missing a key component. It don't even start. They left that information out. Or whoever the person was that fixed it, they didn't tell me they didn't use like genuine parts. Now a part just broke. It looks nice, but they didn't tell me everything I needed to know to make that good decision up front. But I just saw a nice looking car. I really wanted it. It was on bid. I just wanted to make sure I got the car. I overbid. And that's the danger of a blind auction. Sometimes you just don't know unless you're a specialist. That's why like some guys, like I said, the guys that know games, they understand how things really go. They don't just believe everything someone says. You might have some time to do your due diligence on the item, but the person that is trying to sell that item, they might know there's some things that might bring that price down or that bid price down, and they'd rather not share that, or they'd rather just lie about it. If I'm just being honest, I mean, you don't need to know that I got the dashboard on the vehicle rewound to zero or rewound to, because there are situations where you can actually do that on some vehicles, where you can actually I believe it's actually illegal or something like that, but you can rewind the mileage on the dash. So it had 100,000 miles on it. He rounded back down about 20,000. That makes the price go up. You don't need to know about that. Ain't no telling what components might need replacing. You don't need to know about that because it's not in your favor. You're the bidder. To the person who's trying to get rid of the item, they don't need to. They want to share as little information about the item other than the good stuff. Anything good, they'll put it out there. They will put anything good out. Some of them they'll even they'll massage it a little bit. Hey, you drive this, you're gonna get all these girls. Hey, some stuff they can't technically verify, but they'll make it sound as good as possible. That's what women tend to do. That's what they're supposed to do. I mean, get the best thing you can. That's what you're supposed to do. Unfortunately, some guys, they fall for the okey doke. It is what it is. You overbid. You were the sucker, unfortunately. Some guys knew the bid price. They paid their fair price. They might even been able to get a test drive or two out of it. But I mean, you overbid. Yeah, you got what you paid for, but it wasn't what you thought it was. Because you didn't do your due diligence, or You believed what the person who was selling the item told you, even though they had no legal obligation to do so. I mean, who's going to believe you? Especially if it's not in writing. It's not in writing that they told you this. Even if it is, who cares? There's no legal obligation you can give them. Hey, he told you something, you believed it, you overbid for the item. He didn't tell you to bid that price, but you did. I mean, what are you going to do? You know, anything that's not legally obligated, anything you don't ask for. I mean, what are you going to do? Now, why do I talk about this? Because I've said earlier that no one person is the same. There are some subjective things. That being the bid price. The price someone is willing to bid is subjective. I can't tell you what someone's willing to pay for an item until I put it on the auction block. And then we'll see, what the price is. Now, you might watch some shows where they do that stuff like what is it, like the yard sale stuff where they go to the what is it? Storage wars and stuff like that, where they bid on the storage. Actually, I know some people that actually do that for real. But they go and bid on the storage unit, and then they go to a specialist, and he'll tell them, "Hey, you might be able to. I'd say you get this for this item. I'd say you get that for this item." And they're suggesting the prices that they could sell those items that they be getting out of storage units for. Well, that's a suggestive price. That's a technically kind of like fair market price because they know, hey, if it was in my store, I know there's a guy that would buy it for that price. That's not saying they're guaranteed that because usually the items are used anyway or they're just nostalgic items. That's not guaranteed, even though they make it seem that way. That's why like people that actually do that storage unit thing, they actually know what the hell I'm talking about. But it's not guaranteed, it's suggestive. Because there might be somebody who's willing to pay, $15,000 for that car. There might be someone who's willing to pay $10,000 for the car. And there's that sucker out there who's willing to pay $35,000 for it. Am I wrong to want to sell that car to the guy who's willing to pay $35,000 for it? No. I'm selling it as is. Keyword as is. Do your own due diligence if you'd like. But this is you go to one of them little shady dealerships, sold as is. Yes, the car could absolutely break down the moment you pull it off the lot. But guess what? You signed them documents. It's yours now. That's your problem now. I'm selling it as is. And I got what I consider to be fair. Yes, I know the car was only worth 15. I had a dude who was looking to take it for 10, and then my sucker came up and he paid 35. I'm happy. Now you want to know when the sucker isn't happy? When he realizes that he overbid for it. When he realizes that the only other and here's another thing. When the sucker realizes because here's another thing. I might tell that sucker, oh, bro, I got like 4 or 5 bids on this car right now, and the highest bid right now, like this, I got a dude willing to give me 25 for it. Remember what I told you earlier? The only other bid was 10,000. That's not against the law. That's a sales tactic. Hey, I got a dude willing to give me 25 for it right now. What you trying to do? 35. You know what that sucker should have did? He should have said, yeah, fuck that. I'm walking out. He should have walked away. He should have walked away. He said, yeah, well, guess what? I'll do 15 for it, and call me when you want that. And then guess what? Guess what? If he had did that, guess what? I would have been on that phone. Hey, hey, what's up, man? So you still good for 15? Because remember, the only other bid was 10. So, hey, yeah, something happened to old buddy. He had some issues or something. I'm trying to get rid of it quick. And I'm like, hey, you got that 15 real quick? I'll give it to you like right now, like real fast. I mean, dude still. The dude he was talking about 25, and all of a sudden, now he playing around. He got cold feet. But I remember you say you have 15. You sounded like you was legit and everything. You know, this bullshit tactic where you trying to make it seem like he actually had a legit offer when really he didn't. But you know how it goes. Shout out to the salespeople out there. But the sucker bought it for 35. So guess what? There's moments when the sucker gets mad. The sucker gets mad when he finds out he overpaid. When he finds out the only other bid was 10, the car's only worth 15, and he could have got it for 11. Now he's gonna be feeling some type of way. Also, if he doesn't find out about that, because mind you, not everybody finds out about the other bidders and their bids, because remember, it's a blind auction. Not everybody finds out. But also, he gets mad when he sees a similar vehicle, similar make and model and everything. Somebody else got that one for 14. And then every other vehicle like his, he sees everybody else got it for the similar price, about 14, 15. And then he'd be looking at himself like, but I paid 35 for mine. Now, sometimes they'll live in denial and they're trying to make it seem like their vehicle is better than all the others. Well, mine got this. Mine is special. Mine is this. Mine is that. Mine is a little bit. No, when really they're just trying to get over the fact that they overpaid for it. Now, people, this is true for anything. This isn't just. I'm giving an analogy with the vehicle being his woman. But no, this is true for everything. Like when someone overpays for something and they find out they overpaid for it, this is true for just about anything. Oh well, mine is stuff they're trying to make it seem like theirs is special in some special type of way when really it ain't. You overpaid. You could have got it for 11. Well, he doesn't know he could have got it for 11, but he could have got it for 11. But he's seeing everybody else getting theirs for 14 or 15, and then he realized, yeah, I overpaid, and then he realizes he's a sucker. Then he starts feeling some type of way after that. So yeah, every woman has her sucker, and they're looking for that sucker. Unfortunately, unfortunately, the prices they're asking for are way above market, and the guys that they wish would pay the price usually aren't dumb enough to overbid. They usually aren't dumb enough to overbid, at least not without using all those nefarious tactics that I explained, especially the lying part. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna put an emphasis on the lying part because I mean, let's be real. It's the easiest way to bid up the price on something. Yes, they might say, hey, the salespeople might try and say it's something else. No, it's lying. You know exactly what you're doing. You're doing that intentionally because you know that whatever you're trying to sell isn't technically worth that much. You're just trying to get as much as you can for it. I get it. Do what you got to do. Get the best price you can. That's fair if you're being reasonable. But I'm just saying, if you're gonna lie about a product and all this other thing, there's a difference between straight up lying about the product and then kind of like using, how can I say it, opinionated words. Like this is the best sweeper. You know, it shows it has the greatest, cleaning potential. You know, those kind of things where it's not, you can't technically verify it, but people get what you're trying to say, and then you might talk about all the little gadgets and gas modes it has on it, and don't none of them really make it seem like it does its job better, but it's just cool that it has it, right? But there's a difference between saying that about, say, a broomstick, like, oh, it's got the best cleaning potential, et cetera, et cetera. There's a difference between saying that kind of stuff to make it seem more important than what it really is. It's really marketing tactic. And then there's a difference between saying that and then saying the broomstick can do your taxes, or you could fly on it like a witch. Now that's just straight up lying. That's false advertisement. That broomstick cannot do that. It can't do your taxes, and you're not going to be able to get on it and fly like a damn witch. No, that's false advertisement. because now you're giving way more incentive for somebody to pay for that broom. This is another analogy. Even though the damn thing can't do what you're claiming it can do, or you can claim it's brand new and that damn thing's been used for the last 10 years. Completely different. That's just straight up lying. False advertising. It's actually against the law. You can get sued for that for a reason. However, all is fair in love and war, right? Oh yeah, well you're dating somebody. Oh yeah, they look. They gonna lie. I'm sorry. They're gonna lie. I already told you about the stuff women have to lie about. It's easy. You can't technically verify it. That's why guys pick up on certain cues to kind of see where you're at. Whether or not she has tattoos, the way she acts, how many guy friends she has, your social media stuff. There's some hints that kind of suggest what type of girl you are, and then guys might, if they want to go that route, they can try and make sense of it, being like you might be trying to claim you're a virgin, but you have all these things that kind of say otherwise. You know, we can't text. I mean, people, some people can say, oh yeah, you can go to the OB or whatever, look at the hymen, but some women's hymens actually get broken, doing other things other than sex. But you can't technically know if that kind of information. The same way, even if her hymen is there, I know women that technically are virgins. Technically, keyword technically are virgins. They definitely been using the other two holes though, and y'all know what I mean. They definitely been using the other two. It's just she hadn't been using that one because technically she's still a virgin. That's a half truth. So y'all know exactly what y'all doing when y'all do that. Guys do it too, but it's harder for guys because you can only lie about your car and your house and all that and what you actually own for a certain amount of time. You gotta take that car back, or you gotta pay rent, or I can look it up online whether or not you own it or not. It's that simple, to be honest. That's why I said lying usually doesn't work out for the guys. I mean, you can literally look it up online. Like I can look up a business online and see whether or not you're the owner. I can look certain information. If you got tax returns or something, I can ask for your damn tax documents. There's going to be documentation. I can look up your score, your business credit score. That's public information if you have it. Simple stuff like that. But warning, 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 beware. I'm just letting you people know. Beware of some of this stuff that man, I swear. There's just too much craziness I'm saying right now. Contradiction, stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. Stuff where you can go ahead and try it if you want to. Go ahead and try it if you want to. And I will be right here waiting to listen to your story on how that worked out for you. Because I know better than to take action on some of these things I'm hearing out here in these YouTube, which I call the YouTube streets or whatever. I'm fairly new to the YouTube streets, but I got my game from the streets. I actually got my game from the streets. But some of this stuff, that's why I can't. That's why I could never relate to the red pill guys. I mean, shout out to y'all. I guess y'all got to go through some things or whatever. Okay, cool. But I can never relate to y'all because a lot of y'all, most of y'all issues, I'm like, yeah, why the hell would you? Well, I wouldn't even be in that situation. I'm just being honest. And even if I were to put myself in that situation, I would. I mean, even then, it's got to be a hypothetical because I would not put myself in most of those situations. And if I did, it would be because of lying and nefarious tactics, meaning I was blatantly lied to, and I wasn't able to see through it. But there's no excuse for the guys that get married without a prenup. I'm sorry. Like prenups exist for a reason. They exist for a reason. Women are not angels. They are people. They absolutely will screw you over, just like any other human can. Humans are absolutely capable of evil. I mean, it's just common sense. At least to me, it's common sense. I've grown to understand that there are quite a few people that don't have that, and it surprises me. It surprised me. It really did. It surprised me how many incompetent people there are in the world. It surprised me how many ignorant people there are in the world, and it surprises me through their ignorance and their incompetence how they lack an understanding of how things really are and just straight up common sense. Like it, I'm not gonna lie. I am surprised, or I was surprised in the past because right now I'm no longer surprised by it. But I've grown to know not to be surprised by it because it's been so obvious. There's so many people that lack it, that lack understanding. They're so willing to believe what they're told, which is why lying is so effective. Which is why these gurus are even capable of doing what they do because it's easy. They understand there's quite a few people out here that are susceptible to this stuff. They're just willing to believe anything. Shout out to fucking Watcher and JT, who literally goes through and siphons through the bad crap that some of these gurus say. And that's just from like usually the getting money point of view. I'm talking about the dating. From the dating point of view, I've already said this earlier. Anybody who has been married for more than probably I'd say more than 10 to 15 years, their dating advice is outdated. They have not been in the current dating system. They do not understand quote unquote modern women. And when I say modern women, I mean within the past decade, because they hadn't even been on the dating market for the last decade. They do not understand women today in this new social media era. The swipe left culture, all this crap that wasn't out 10 years ago. They do not understand this stuff. And then, and one thing is, they could, if they actually understood how the true nature of men and women, but because they actually don't, because they're going based off of what they did in the past, before today, they think what they're saying is absolute, when in fact it no longer applies because today is different. Today is different than it was 10, 15, 20, especially 20 years ago. Jesus, my goodness. I mean, today is different than it was 5 years ago, people. Like, come on now. We are accelerating at a there is a reason for that. I mean, because the technology continues to accelerate faster and faster. So culture, America, I'm reading a book right now where it's literally explaining this dynamic where humans, we are our ability to adapt is what gives us an advantage over other creatures. However, we're now reaching our limit. We're potentially reaching our limit where our society and structure is changing so fast, we're not able to keep up with it. Because when I say things are different today than they were 10 years ago, that is true. Now go back 100 years. 10 years was not that much of a difference then, unless you're doing you give it like say I'm talking about during like the 1400s. A 10-year span was not that big of a difference. It would take somebody months, if not a year, to cross the country. 10 years was pretty much traveling time for most people. That's why things didn't accelerate like that back then. They didn't. The technology like today was not like it was back during Christopher Columbus. 10 years was not, it was there was not a big difference that happened in 10 years. Today, within the last century, 10 years is a big difference, depending on which era you go. And the closer to today you go, the bigger the difference. That's just how it is. That's how it's been. That's why, like, some of these folks, man, like, if you want to take their dating advice, by all means, do so at your own risk. But I'm going to give you some advice of my own, which is what I see. All right. So, warning. I'm giving you guys a warning. Take it at your own risk. But here's the thing. Beware of information that does not give any direct answers. Meaning, it sounds good, but really, when you dissect it, it sounds good, but you really understand. But when you try to like really think about how you're going to put that into action, what you find out is you can't. And this is the philosophical stuff. It just sounds good. Oh, that sounds good, but how the hell am I going to use it? Or it's incomplete. So it sounds good, but you can't really use it. The philosophical stuff, the theorizing stuff, the stuff that actually hasn't been done, it just sounds like it'll work. But no one, either they themselves, and this is a big tell, either they themselves haven't done it, or they just theorize based off of stuff that sounds good, or they might have something to sell that goes along with it. Shout out to the fake and fraud guys, where they're trying to sell those courses on getting with women without paying for it, right? And then they're trying to see there's incentive on telling guys not to pay for it, right? Because they have courses on teaching on how not to pay for it. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, obviously there's a reason. It's no different than women. There's a reason why she's not going to tell you everything that's wrong with her, because she wants y'all to bid the price up. That's why when you ask a woman what she wants, she don't know. You ask a woman what she wants, usually it'll come back to what you're willing to give. Bang, 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 bang. Why is that? It's a blind option. She's not going to tell you what she's willing to take. If she does that, you'll just give it to her. And then guess what? She finds out you were willing to pay, or you were willing or able to pay double. Now she's going to feel some type of way, because she realized, dang, go back to that car scenario at the beginning. Okay, I have one guy for 10. I got this one sucker. Okay, he looked like he willing to give me 20 for it. Okay, what you got on it? Okay, now he's saying 14. Dang. Okay, he the best bid. I'll give it to him for 14. And then she find out, oh, cool, because I was about to put 35 on it. What? Now she gonna feel some type of way. Now, mind you, the car was worth 15. The other bid was only 10. She don't feel some type of way because she didn't get a fair price. No, she don't. She feels some type of way because she realized she could have got more. I mean, anybody would. Like, dang, I'm gonna feel some type of way if I had something. I sell it to dude for 14, and then I wound up finding out he tell me like, well, like while he handing over the money, I'm giving the keys. He's like, shoot, I was willing to pay 35 for it. Well, the fuck. Like, I'm gonna feel some type of way because I'm like, well, why didn't you? Well, probably because he did his due diligence and he realized it was only worth 15. There was another vehicle. That's the key word. There's another vehicle that sold for a similar price. There's another one. There's another auction coming up for a similar vehicle. So he realized, hey, let me not overpay for this one. I'm just going to do it at a fair price. That's common sense. That's what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, say you really want that vehicle, if you really want to get the best price, like say the other dude was willing to pay 10, say you could have got it for 11, right? Or 10.50, right? Well, do a little bit more due diligence. Find, do a little more digging. Dig into the other guy's finances. Look into his history, his past. See what he was willing to pay for it. Shoot, sometimes you can actually get the price or the suggested price for it from the person who's selling the car themselves. They might be willing to tell you what the life of the other person is like, so you can kind of guesstimate what they're willing to pay for it. It's never going to be perfect because they might not tell you everything about it, but it's like you can kind of guess. Okay, he must not be willing to pay over 10 for it, or he must be around market price. So let me see if I can underbid. If I don't get it, so be it. There's another one coming. I'll do it for 11. I'm willing to take the risk. I might be able to get it for 11. Now, some people, they know how to work the system because maybe that might not be the final thing, but you could talk with the person and be like, hey, look here. I might be able to. I'm gonna go for 11, but look. I see there's another vehicle. I might go ahead and get that one, but guess what? If I don't get this one for 11, then I'll just pay 14 for that one, right? And then I'll see if I can get that one. So you kind of do a little bit of a nudge. Now, there was only offer for 10, meaning no matter what she nudges on you, you're only going to pay 11 for this one. You already told the plan. You're already like, yeah, this is what I'm going to pay for it. Either take it or leave it. Or I can go pay 14 for the other one. You can play some mind games a little bit, as long as it's within reason, but, it's possible to get the price, to understand, okay, here's what the price is currently. Shoot, you probably go up to the other dude and ask him what he bid for it. He has no reason to tell. Well, let's just say, he bought the car before, or he had the car before, and he was like, yeah, he only paid 10 for the car. I mean, hey, the car is only selling for this much, so it makes sense to only pay that much for it. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of bad information on these YouTubes. All I'm saying is beware of this information you hear on here. It's about the nonsense. Some of it is just like, some people just talking. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know what y'all talk. Like some of y'all just talking, and you can tell some people too into it with their feelings. Somebody must have hurt them, or they feel like they got to be some type of way to get some sort of outcome or something. I'm just like, yo, like you doing too much. Like stop trying to be macho man Randy Savage and some crap. Like you not built like that, but they try to act like that. Like I said, people like to act a certain way. They actually aren't a certain way, but they like to act a certain way. Oh boy. So, so I'm just giving this warning. Beware of the information. Some of the information you be seeing online, especially on YouTube. Some of it is not actionable at all. It makes absolutely no sense, and you will see contradictions. You might watch and they said one thing one day, and then the other day, then they say something that contradicts that, or they always have to sound like they're right, and that's another thing. Nobody's perfect, but I'm fairly skeptical of people who always seem like they always got the answers for stuff that doesn't relate to any kind of field that they're not a specialist in, or what they have is not exactly what I desire to be. Meaning, I desire to make money, right? I'm not going to take advice from a rapper on how to make money. I'm not interested in being a fucking rapper at all. Yes, they got money. Well, at least the good, I'm talking about the rappers that actually do have money. Yes, he might have the money. He might be a successful rapper. I'm not looking to be a rapper at all. Right outcome, wrong specialty. Oh, again, beware. I'm telling y'all this. I'm gonna look back on this. I'm gonna look back on this video. I'm gonna probably do a rewind on this video in a few years because there's gonna be some stories coming out about certain individuals, and I'll be like, "Yo, I tried to warn y'all. Beware." I don't want to give away exactly who I'm talking about. I'm just trying to give out because it's obvious. They contradict themselves. They say stuff that makes no sense. They like to talk, usually long-winded, because usually when you dominate the conversation, it makes you. Some people, they think when they dominate the conversation that the louder you talk over the other person, the righter you are. They try to use all the tactics in the 48 Laws of Power in one conversation, which I already told y'all. The 48 Laws of Power is a guidebook. You don't have to use every single thing in that damn book. You're supposed to pick and choose which one you use at certain times, but if somebody's literally sitting here and they don't went through all 48 laws of power in one conversation, I'm like, for one, they contradict themselves because some of those laws actually literally contradict one another. So it's like, yo, like, real talk, what's going on here? Sometimes y'all might see me. Sometimes y'all might see me on certain platforms, and then I shut the fuck up. Because I have no interest in buffoonery or participating in buffoonery. And there's been some times where I've been on a platform and I literally just sat there and was just like, yeah, I ain't participating in this buffoonery. All right. Back to the crossover. I know I'm going to have to come back and probably be like, yeah, well, I tried to warn y'all. But yeah, you will see me on some people's platforms, and when buffoonery happens, because here's the thing, I like to let people talk because when people talk, usually the truth comes out eventually, inevitably, usually, because most people aren't professionals when it comes to communication. I understand that today. So that's why most of the time today, when people talk, they expose themselves. The more they talk, the more you realize, okay, you bullshit, because they end up contradicting themselves. They don't know what the hell they're really talking about, and then they go into the blabbermouth phase. Sometimes the shame and so guilt, the sign language comes out. Sometimes that comes out. A lot of the time, especially if it's a woman. But I like to let people talk because I'm a natural listener. I'm an observer. That's how I learn what I learn. I let you talk. Tell me who you are. Tell me who you really are. That's why you might see me on a platform. There was actually one time when I was sitting on I think it was on Anton's thing. And I literally did not say a word the entire time. I was just sitting there. I think my mic might have been also messing up because there were some times where I wanted to ask a question so they keep telling on themselves. But there was one time I was just sitting in there just listening. Eventually, I got kicked out because I wasn't talking. But even though there was like a couple other people talking that wasn't talking, but I was just sitting there listening because listen. It's not my job to fix y'all. It really isn't. It's not my job to fix you or your issues. I would like, especially people that look like that share my image, black men out there. I would like to try to help as many of you as possible, but I would like to. I really would. Genuinely. I really do. I like helping people. But the thing is, I'm not going to kill myself to try to help y'all. Not at all. Absolutely not. I believe I said this. Yeah, I said this before. My therapist made me into more of a savage. I repeat that. My therapist made me into more of a savage. I mean, he really confirmed something. He really confirmed something that I kind of already knew, but I was holding on to the notion that I could help certain individuals, but I was spreading myself too thin. So my therapist, he said what I already suspected because that's really why I did the therapy. It was because I kind of just needed to hear it from somebody else because I don't like it was of course it was family. I don't like just cutting off people that we're family. I want to try to help you, but the thing is, you know, you can't really help people that ain't trying to help themselves, or they're only doing half the work that they should be doing. Meaning they want you to do all the heavy lifting for them, and now I'm spreading myself too thin because now I'm not only working for myself. Now I got to try to help them out. Now my therapist told me, he said, yo, work on you. He said that ain't your responsibility. Like straight up, he told me that's not your responsibility. They're a person too. You you shouldn't have to be trying to do all this. Wait, now I'm kind of diving into what I'm saying. Now. But pretty much what he was saying was, stop trying to lift all these heavy weights for everybody else. That ain't your job. It's not your job to help people that you're not obligated to. It's not my daughter. It's not my wife. No, these are people outside my household, even though they're family. Yes, I would like to because I see their lives. Like I say, I see things through fruition, and I'm seeing their lives, and I know if something doesn't change, it's not going to end well. Which is why I want to try to help them get to where I believe they can be. But the thing is, I don't got the time or the patience to be sitting around like a damn teacher to try and tell them everything right and wrong to do because I got my own life to live. I got my own family. I was spreading myself too thin. And my therapist made me into more of a savage by saying, hey, sometimes you got to cut some people off to get what you need done. I already knew this because I had no problem cutting outsiders out of my life. That's fairly easy for me. I always talk about cutting people off. I talk about the story when I was back in college. But the thing is, these were family members where I personally want to see them succeed because I don't want to be the only successful person in my family, not my immediate family. I want to see other people succeed. But the thing is, I can't do it for them. And that's something that my therapist really helped me. He really confirmed it for me because I kind of already knew what I needed to do. It's just as heartless as I might appear, as savage as I might, some of the stuff that I might say might be absolutely savage. But the thing is, there is a part of me that really does want to see good done. But at the same time, I kind of know that I can't fix everybody. Like I'm not going to do all the work for you. And there are people that are evil and mean bad, meaning they don't mean to do good anyway. I can't, straight up, I can't differentiate everybody until I know. So I treat everybody the same generally, and I judge often because you act a certain type of way. Okay, I'm gonna put you in this category, that category. So when I give this warning to you guys, my spidey senses are tingling about certain individuals, and certain individuals that might not even have a platform in themselves, but I'm just seeing them talk online, and then I'm seeing the response to what they're saying, and I'm just like, yeah, this ain't gonna turn out well. But I look forward to seeing the outcome. I look forward to seeing the outcome and making more videos like this where I can go back and be like, see, I tried to warn you. I told y'all. I'm not afraid to say I told you so, but I told you so. So beware. Beware of the gurus. Beware of the people that always have to sound right. Beware of the people with the word salad where they say a lot of words that doesn't make sense, but it sounds like they know what they're talking about when really they don't know what they're talking about. Beware of the people that are giving you outdated information. They did something 10, 20 years ago that does not apply to today. And beware of the people that literally contradict themselves. That should be common sense. But I've vowed to share stuff that I think is common sense anyway, because I know there's a lot of people out there that lack that. So have at it, people. お前はもう死んでいる。